Hello viewers, welcome to the session on managing presentation nerves. I'm really excited to present this topic to all of you because generally in technical institutions, engineering students have got so many presentations to present in terms of tech talk presentations, concept video presentations, so on and so forth. They also have their project reports to be presented. So this video lecture is completely on how to manage those presentation nerves, how to be prepared, most importantly, how to overcome the nervousness. Because the moment we think about presentation, there is some amount of fear that creeps in. There is some, unknown fear that creeps into, the minds of the students or the presenters about how to manage that, how to remember everything, how to do it in a professional manner, how to arrange them in a sequence, how to make it a kind of resourceful or meaningful, effective, efficient presentation. So this discussion, this video lecture completely focuses on managing those presentation nerves. Here we go and see the tips and techniques of managing presentation nerves. I'm Sunil Solomon Philip. I have been working in the Institute of Aeronautical Engineering as an assistant professor of English. And let's go and know more about managing these presentation nerves. Here we go. Well, I'm going to throw light on 6 steps to conquering these presentation nerves. 6 stages of conquering these presentation nerves. The first one in that is knowing your audience. What do I mean by that? Consult your audience before your presentation. Meaning, if not personally consulting them, at least we should know what is the level of their understanding. Who is that I am going to address? All the who, what, where, when, why, how, the research-based questions that we do. So here I should know who my audience is. What is that they are expecting from me? Okay, where can I get this sources of information? Okay, and when can I present what? Why is that I'm doing this presentation? As a presenter, why is that I'm doing this topic? You need to question yourself, and how is the final step? How am I going to do it? Is it images? Is it graphs? Is it the driving points? Of course, we will have driving points, but in addition to that, any other images. So the first thing is consult your audience before your presentation. The second one, self-confidence in terms of useful and interesting presentation, okay, will calm you down to overcome the nervousness. What is this self-confidence? I must mention here that I also freelance as one of the resource persons of Oxford University Press. So when I did workshops for the teachers of English at the school level, where they follow these Oxford school textbooks, so the memories, the encounters, the experiences of those workshops is what I would like to, put in here more in the form of concrete examples instead of just theoretical, inputs. Well, the self-confidence is one term, one word that you can gain, that you can earn once the notes is fully prepared. I mean, the actual topic very well, in and out. You have consulted as many sources of information as possible, and you have prepared the slides so carefully, okay, and the slides are not cluttered, they are very neat and clean, to the point, and you know what you are doing. That gives you the self-confidence. And of course, you keep rehearsing it several times before the D-Day of the presentation. You keep rehearsing it several times. The first is this, second is this, third is this. I am talking in terms of the logical sequence of presentation. That first I will talk about this definition, then I go to this anecdote, then I will go to further explanation of the method, approach, or technique, likewise. So that will give you the self-confidence. Then define who your target audience is. Ask people who are representatives of the audience, what they expect from the presentation. Generally, for any presentation, there are representatives. For example, if you are doing it for the whole class, what are the needs of the class, of the members of your class? Or imagine your teacher, your faculty, your teacher has asked you to do this presentation. See, you should find out clearly from the teacher what is that I'm expected to do. What should be my main focus? What are the examples that I will be discussing? What images can I add there? What are the sources of information that I can refer to? Because, experts, masters, specialists, they can also, suggest the authentic sources of information. Therefore, finding out the needs, the requirements, the demands of the target audience, and most importantly, talking to the chief of that audience or the representative of the audience about the objectives of the workshop and then the outcome of the workshop or presentation. That we should do in the first place, right? Then run your agenda by a few people to see if they think something is missing or is overkill. You see, whenever we prepare those slides, okay, it's always good to show it to some of the experts, some of the masters or specialists, or people who are professionals in that area, who have already done many of such presentations, to have a look at the slides that have been prepared, the points that have been covered, and the sequencing of it. Of course, the language part of it too, like in terms of punctuation or in terms of spells and grammar and other things. Then consider contacting participants by email beforehand and ask them a few questions about what they expect. This is at times possible, at times not possible. You are given a free hand to contact the participants, speak to the participants before you do the presentation. But all the time you might not have this kind of freedom, this liberty and independence. So this may be allowed, this may not be allowed, depending on the nature of your presentation. Fine. Greet audience members at the door and do a quick survey of why they are there and what they expect. Well, generally as presenters, if the presenter is generally treated as the chief guest, at times they might not interact with the participants in the beginning itself. But actually, as a presenter, you can also talk to them, by the time they enter through the entrance and, shake hands and then, what is that you are actually expecting from this presentation? What is that you need? Okay. One word may not be a very lengthy discussion about it. Okay. What brings you here? With one smile and one sort of, acquainting yourself with the audience will also be helpful to overcome the nerves, to overcome the, the problems in presentation. Most importantly, to gain the self-confidence and to tell yourself that, yes, I'm ready with the actual requirements of this audience, the needs of them, and that means you are doing this needs analysis. You're trying to know you're trying to do a kind of analysis of their needs. Okay, fine. Then know your material. So first one we have done, know your audience. Second one, we are looking at knowing your material. What is knowing our material? What is that? Well, poor preparation leads to nervousness. Generally, in any of these presentations, when the preparation is not up to the mark, when the authentic sources are not consulted, properly, that means the information is a bit shaky. It's not very confident and it's not very concrete and substantial. Therefore, let your preparation be, complete, and let it be comprehensive so that you will overcome, that nervousness, that phobia, that fear, that tension, that anxiety, anxiousness, uneasiness or worry is the meaning of anxiety according to Oxford Mini Dictionary. Okay, anyways. Now, what else in this knowing the material? Understanding the needs, requirements, demands of the audience. And depending, when you understand the needs of the audience, you will also prepare your material according to their expectations, their level of knowledge, their, actual, requirement and demand. That should reflect in the material. The moment they see the material, wow, this is what I need. This is what I was actually looking for. So if that can be reflected in the slides or maybe in the handouts, nothing like that. It's not that we don't know these things, but, these tips and techniques will help us to overcome those anxiety problems before we actually do the presentation. Okay, fine. Presenting everything we have prepared on might be long and boring. See, you may not be able to present everything that you have prepared on. I remember doing a webinar for the Oxford University Press on the topic Grammar, a Game Changer. This was an international or a kind of online webinar, and webinars are online, of course. International thing where people from different countries, attended that webinar. Now, the thing is, I have prepared a lot for this presentation. I have referred to so many books and so many authentic sites for it, but I could not present everything that I prepared there. What I could present there was what was exactly essential, because it is like narrowing down from a kind of mega area to a very microscopic area. You are actually focusing to the specific and very, very particular requirement where the information will be immensely beneficial, richly, resourceful and beneficial to the audience. That sort of editing and proofreading of the whole material in terms of content, language, examples, in terms of anecdotes or anything for that matter. Fine. Now, therefore, select the most pertinent points from the subject base and then supplement with other material as the time permits, like JAGs, MATs, SMART. Well, the full forms of these JAGs, MATs and SMARTs are: JAG is jokes, anecdotes and quotations. I mean, there's nothing wrong in bringing some of the jokes in between, but those jokes should not be vulgar. They should be actually, decent kinds of jokes. Let me take one example. One Indian went to Australia. On the first day, he was about to start his job. Australian was asking the Indian, "Have you come here to die?" I repeat, "Have you come here to die?" Indian was taken aback. After some time, the Indian came to know that the Australian asked him, "Have you come here today?" Jokes like this. So that means it's a kind of accent problem. Today is pronounced as to die. These kinds of things, if the person is speaking on accent neutralization or overcoming the influence of mother tongue, things like that. And anecdotes, quotations wherever necessary, because quotations will actually capture their attention. Quotations are very powerful, and recently I have come across one quotation by APJ Abdul Kalam, our former president of India. Well, you cannot change your future. What he says is, you cannot change your future, but if you can change your habits can change your future. Very thoughtful, right? Nobody can change, his or her future. But if one can change one's habits, those habits can change one's future. Very meaningful and thought-provoking, isn't it? Yeah. So those kinds of quotations, depending on the context, depending on the situation. And MATs, what method, what approach, what technique. MAT is, the full form is there. And let the presentation be SMART, like specific, measurable. I mean, see, these number of slides, this is the time duration, measurable, achievable. The presentation should be something that is achievable. It should not be something like, I am biting more than what I can chew. It should not be something like that. Then it should be realistic. It should not be very artificial kind, very realistic, very, when people see that, when people listen to that, that should be realistic. And the final one, it should be time bound. In the given time, because that should not bore them. That should not be a kind of boredom for the audience. So that should be time bound. So SMART, isn't it? SMART presentations for smart people. Okay, right. Now the third one is structure your presentation. What is this? So we have seen knowing our audience. Now in the second step, we have seen knowing our material. Now we are looking at structuring the presentation. How do we structure the presentation? A common technique for trying to calm nervousness is memorizing what you intend to say. Well, memorizing at times will help. Memorizing may not help all the times, because you also require lots of explanation there, case studies there if required, and maybe diagrammatic representation also if the situation demands. Therefore, memorization helps maybe in terms of subheadings, or for example, I go for lots of passwords. For example, SMART that I showed you in the previous slide. SMART, smart. So to remember that specificity, measurable, to remember that achievable, realistic, and time-bound things, I have prepared that SMART. Okay. Therefore, something like that. You can depend on your memory power as long as you can recall them and remember them. But you may not be able to remember and recall everything. That may not be possible. Your delivery might sound like it is coming from a robot. So if you are doing based on your memory power, probably the audience would feel like, this is not very natural. These are kind of very artificial, a robo, memorizing everything, and then a robo kind of reciting everything. We know the way a robo speaks. We have already listened to some of the robots speaking. So it should also be not like that. It should be natural. It should be, captivating. It should be, resourceful and meaningful. Well, if you miss a word or draw a blank, your whole presentation is thrown off. And then your nervousness compounds itself with every remaining second. What happens generally in the case of presentations is, if a person misses a word, or if he draws a blank somewhere during the course of the presentation, the complete presentation might be thrown off, or maybe because of some physiological barrier, like it might be, you have come there and you are doing the presentation with something else in your mind. Something else is bothering you, disturbing you, deviating you. You need to overcome those barriers. One should overcome. Maybe you might have fought with somebody and you have brought that anger. We need to overcome that. Actually, we should balance our emotions there very carefully. How to do that? Calm down yourself. Nothing is going to happen. Okay. So until you finish that presentation, keep yourself calm and composed, pleasant and resourceful. Always tell yourself you are the king of your presentation. You are the master of your presentation. The opposite person might be an expert, might be a specialist, might be a kind of professional, or whoever he is. Okay. He might be anybody. Master, specialist, expert in the area, might be. But you have come there prepared. You have referred, you have done your homework a lot. So you might not be able to answer all the questions, but definitely, you will be able to answer relevantly. You need to keep telling yourself. Then yes, you'll be able to do that successfully and confidently. All right, fine. So you might miss a word or draw a blank. Your whole presentation is thrown off, and then your nervousness compounds itself with every remaining second. So it's the moment you feel like, oh my God, I've missed something, I've forgotten something, that might compound your tension. That might actually, increase your levels of tension. Calm down. Nothing happens. See, we are human beings. To err is human. But it doesn't mean that you commit mistakes there and then come out and regret. As far as possible, do it without any mistakes. But if the mistakes occur there, take it easily. Take it easily. Tell yourself, even if you have to apologize them, you say, sorry, I think this is a different reference. I think this is a different quotation or definition. You can always say that. Fine, right. It is far better to structure your presentation so that you give yourself clues to what is coming next. So you need to structure your presentation in such a way that you have definitely some other clue coming there, some other hint coming there to help you in terms of what example to give there, what quotation to use there, what anecdote to use there. That's how you need to structure your presentation so that it is a smooth sailing. It's a smooth functioning presentation. All right, fine. You can also use fillers here and there, but not too many of them. Like people constantly use, those kind of fillers. We can use, but not too many of that. Okay. Maybe here and there if required, but not too many. Okay. So we have seen knowing the audience, knowing the material. Now we have seen structuring the presentation. Further into structuring the presentation, have a set of key phrases listed on a cue card. Maybe you can carry a notepad, okay, to give you hints or clues about what to talk about on this slide, what example to give there, okay, what flowchart, what diagram, what graph. Refer to these phrases to trigger your mind as to what is coming up next. Maybe some password, some keyword related to that slide. Also, you can mention on the notepad so that it's easier for you to explain it elaborate it, throw more light on that, exemplify them, all that. If you are using slides, use these key phrases in your transitions. And then this approach helps you control your own uncertainty about whenever you will remember what you want to say and the order you want to say it. This kind of key phrases, these kinds of clues and hints, if you write it maybe in a notepad when you do your presentation, that will help you by, from the uncertainty about whether you will remember what you want to say and the order you want to say. That will actually help you, and that will assure you that you remember all these things. Don't worry. Cool, relax, chill. And even the sequence is as per the order. Logical sequence or chronological sequence. Chronological sequence is like, for example, if it is history, 1942, 1967, 1974, 1985. Chron meaning time. Chronological presentation. Logical sequence is like, one step flowing into the other, like a flow chart. That is logical sequence. So these kinds of hints or clues on a notepad will assure you that you are going as per the plan and there is nothing to worry about. Okay, fine. Well, after the third step, the fourth one is practice. Because we know there is no shortcut to success and we need to practice. Practice makes one perfect. That's a common saying that we use. What to practice? How to practice? That's the question. Although you should avoid memorizing your presentation, you do want to be very comfortable with your delivery. At times you want to go for memorization, at times no, but still you want to do it very effectively and efficiently. Familiarity brings confidence and practice helps you to deliver the words naturally, crisply, easily, This means they will be coming more from your heart and mind rather than from a piece of paper. That your presentation doesn't look like this man is, doing a kind of parroting work here. Your presentation should never send such signals to the audience. Then what? It should be natural. It should be something like it is coming from your heart, from your mind, naturally, in an interesting manner. It should not be something that is done as a mechanical process and the presentation that is coming from a piece of paper. No, it should not be something like that. Okay, fine. Then, what is more in this practice? Practice. Learn the organization and order of your presentation. When you are doing it on a kind of organization, know more about that organization, the order of presentation. If you do feel the need to memorize, limit it to your opening. This will help you get off to a smooth start. If you really want to memorize something, maybe in the beginning is okay, but not the entire presentation. You shouldn't memorize the whole presentation, and you can't even do that. That becomes a very boring and mechanical process, as if it is some artificial thing that is happening. Because this man is nervous, because this man is doing it probably in a nervous manner, he has memorized everything and he's just parroting in front of it. That should not be something. Your presentation should not be like that. Okay, fine. Try videotaping yourself, video recording yourself. I mean, before you do the actual presentation, nowadays we have got excellent smartphones. So we can always record a presentation. It may be a 15 minute, 20 minute, 30 minute, whatsoever. You will see what you look like to others. And then you can make a plan to change the things that need, that need changing, that need to be changed. For example, in terms of dress, most of us see camera shirts, black is considered as the camera shirt. Or in terms of the background, in terms of the way you're throwing up the words, pronunciation, most importantly, the order of presentation, or, the ease of presenting those ideas. Are you using any technical jargon there? Is it, too technical? Do you need to use some common general words there so that the audience can easily understand you? All these things, when you video record before you do the actual presentation, that will help you a lot to, proofread, to edit, to help yourself to do it in a more professional manner. Okay, fine. Use audio tape to listen to how you speak, your tone, your speed, adjust appropriately. Of course, in video recording, you will get your tone. Prepare for large speaking events by practicing with a smaller audience. First, for example, by inviting colleagues to listen to a dry run during their lunch hour. I mean, it's always good to do it maybe in front of your colleagues. if it is your meetings, office meetings, it's always good to do it in front of your maybe siblings or even parents, depending on, their background, their interest, all that, according to your comfort levels. So they are the best judges to tell you before you do it on the D day. Okay. You see, I think you need to be more clear about this area, your pronunciation, your voice. Okay. Probably they are the best judges. They are the best helpers who can help you to fine tune your presentation. Okay. Fine. Tone of it, speed of it, whatsoever. Then comes prepare. Prepare. What? How? Once you know what you are going to say, you need to prepare yourself for the actual delivery. Decide what you are going to wear, make it comfortable and appropriate, because dress and address both are very, important for the presentation. Your dress, the way you dress, the way you address, both are important. Arrive early and get your equipment set up, because if it is in terms of laptops or desktops or, most importantly, internet connectivity, if you are looking for the audio system, whether everything is fine or not, whether the videos are playing, if you are planning to play any videos there. So everything is always good to arrive early and check this equipment instead of coming in at the last minute and the audience is waiting. And as a resource person, I hate doing it. I always want to be, at least, 15 minutes before the, beginning of the presentation, so that, everything is in perfect control and we will do it in a satisfactory manner, in an efficient and effective manner. Okay, fine. Anticipate problems and have backups and contingencies in place in case something doesn't work. You forget something. Okay, so this kind of preparation beforehand, okay, it's something like start early, drive slowly, reach safely kind of preparation is what I'm reminded about here. When you start early, you will drive slowly and you will reach safely. So the presentation is also something like that, in terms of speed, in terms of comfort, in terms of, enjoying your journey. You should also anticipate the problems, have backups ready, contingencies or exigencies in place in case something doesn't work. Okay. If possible, give everything one last run through in the real environment. Okay. Prepare responses to anticipated questions. This is very, very crucial. Try to think like that one person in the front row who always tries to trip the presenter up. Like, what are the anticipated questions of this presentation? Who is the audience, and what are the questions that you should be ready about? This we need to think very carefully, because this anticipation, this forecasting of questions from the audience, this requires in-depth preparation, at-length preparation, very, very, in-depth preparation. That will give you all the strength, stamina, that will empower you to face them confidently and successfully. We may not be answer all the questions, but at least to the maximum possible extent. Okay, fine. Calm yourself from the inside. What is calming oneself from the inside? Okay. Nervousness causes physiological reactions which are mostly attributed to the increase of adrenaline in your system. This is called an adrenaline rush. Some of the newspapers like Hindu write this as adrenaline rush. Even most of the books talk about this. What is this? See, when the tension mounts up, some of the glands in our body, they produce those hormones more than required. That's called as adrenaline rush. And you can counteract these effects with a few simple techniques. How to actually calm yourself from the inside. Okay, let us see them. Practice deep breathing. Okay, go for deep breathing. Adrenaline causes you to breathe shallowly. By breathing deeply, your brain will get the oxygen it needs, and the slower pace will trick your body into believing you are calmer. When you breathe deeply, your brain will get the oxygen, and it needs the oxygen that it needs, and the slower pace or slower speed of this breathing, that will trick your body into believing that you are calmer. So when the oxygen levels are properly supplied to your brain, okay, the things will be calmer, cooler, comfortable, and you can always tell yourself that it's okay, yes, I'm going to do it effectively and efficiently. Okay. It also helps with voice quivers, like, there is some voice that is, a voice that is not clear, voice that shakes, which can occur when your breathing is irregular. So when the breathing is not regular, when the breathing is not deeper, that your voice might also quiver because of tension, nervousness actually. So keep drinking water, keep hydrating yourself. Adrenaline can cause a dry mouth, which in turn leads to getting tongue-tied. You should not become tight-lipped and tongue-tied in front of them because you have a dry mouth. I remember preparing for the Oxford webinar that I was referring to for about 15 days, almost 15 days. So I have produced a lot of kind of acidity problem. Okay, so these things should be taken care of. Over preparation, healthy fear is fine, but it should not be sickly fear. So keep hydrating, keep drinking water. Have a glass of water handy. Take sips occasionally, especially when you want to emphasize a point, reiterate a point, highlight a point. Keep yourself in a comfortable position. There is nobody to hang you there. Even if there is some mistake, you can always tell them that probably, yes, I will cross-check, I will refer to that. Nothing wrong in that. But don't give false information. That would be a blunder. Providing false information, if you don't know, you better tell them, I think I will cross-check this. That would be better. But providing false information might be a blunder. So don't do that. Then smile, which is a, magical kind of facial expression that you can always give. Always wear that smile. That is one curve that can set everything straight. That improves your face value. And that actually assures the listeners too that they are going to listen to a cheerful presentation. A very happy and cheerful presentation. This is a natural relaxant that sends positive chemicals through your body. Use visualization techniques. Imagine that you are delivering your presentation to an audience that is interested, enthused, smiling and reacting positively. Because some of the faces in the audience might be stone faces. There won't be any expressions. So probably you look at cheerful faces in the audience, and if you are bound to see the faces which are kind of stone faces, you need to tell yourself that it's okay. It's okay. I know what I'm doing. And gradually, the person who is almost without emotions, without expressions, sitting there observing you or staring at you, will also, because smiling is infectious. When he observes other people smiling, enjoying the session, he would also gradually join them. When the presentation is really resourceful, effective and efficient, a person even with a stony face would, join the rest of them who are enjoying the presentation. All right, fine. Cement this positive image in your mind that recall it right before you are ready to go on. Recall it correct. Recall the context, retain the text, reproduce it in the text. The mantra is always recall it right before you are ready to go on. Recall the context, situationally you recall it. Then retain the text, retention. Then reproduce it in your presentation. Press and massage your forehead to energize the front of the brain and speech center, if required. If you are used to massaging, you can also do that yourself, because there might be nobody to do that for you. Just before you start talking, pause, make eye contact and smile. Right. This last moment of peace is very relaxing and gives you time to adjust to being the center of attention. Because remember, you are going to be the cynosure of all eyes. Okay, the center of attraction of all eyes during the course of your presentation. It might be for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 25 minutes. So, take utmost care of all these things. Comforting yourself and comforting the listeners who are there, or assuring the listeners who are there that they are going to, listen to a very interesting and a very cheerful presentation. Right. Speak more slowly than you would in a conversation and leave longer pauses between sentences. If you are a person who speaks very fast, try to calm down. Try to speak at a moderate pace. It should not be very fast. It should not be very slow. Moderate pace. And also give pauses in between. This slower pace will calm you down, and it will also make you easier to hear, especially at the back of a large room. When you give pauses, that will give you time for yourself to think, recall and recollect the points that you have studied. That will also give time for the audience to understand you in a better way. I hope you have understood my point. Move around during your presentation. This will expend some of your nervous energy. So when you move around, okay, that will actually give you some positive energy. You will actually see yourself transforming from negative to positive energy. Okay? To just make yourself comfortable, not walking, constantly from one end to the other end, but just a kind of moving around to comfort yourself. Stop thinking about yourself. Remember that the audience is there to get some information, and it is your job to put it across to them. If you have any personal things that are creeping into your mind, try to put a full stop there. Try to switch off your brain in terms of that and come back to the presentation. Completely focus. Let your presentation be done with CID, concentration, interest, dedication. Okay, show it to them that this is how a professional presentation is done. Okay, and finally, before we close this session, we have so far discussed our takeaway in this presentation, managing our presentation nerves. Know your material. Okay, structure your presentation, practice, prepare, calm yourself from the inside. Actually, these are 5 steps. First of all, knowing your audience is missing in this one. First one is know your audience, then know your material, structure your presentation, practice, practice and practice, prepare, prepare and prepare, calm yourself from the inside. So viewers, that's all about managing your presentation nerves. I hope the presentation is useful. It has given you some tips and techniques. It has helped you to manage your presentation nerves. And I'm sure these tips will help you to do your presentation confidently and successfully. Thank you for watching. Keep watching IARE YouTube. I am Sunil Solomon Philip. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.